Sydney is a car-centric city. If you live here long enough, and particularly out of the inner city, you notice very quickly that in most cases it is often more efficient to get around in a car. Now, while I won't deny that our public transport system is pretty decent for a major city, there are plenty of big gaps across the metropolitan area that are in dire need of better public transport services and links, and other areas that seemingly have efficient systems but are either not all they seem or are starting to show their cracks from all the stretching. Such is the case with the Northern Beaches corridor of Sydney, and in particular the notorious Military Road. If you live in this area or use this road on a daily basis, you would already know what a nightmare it is. But the issues stretch even further, continuing to the Northern Beaches on Spit Road, Condamine Road and Pittwater Road, a corridor that is the main thoroughfare to the Northern Beaches, and as a result suffers from enormous traffic congestion and overcrowded buses, in turn creating a noisy and unpleasant atmosphere for local residents and businesses. Many would argue the corridor is one that could strongly benefit from a train line, and for many, many years have debated this, only to be shut down by particular governments and locals who seem opposed to any sort of drastic change, a term popularised as NIMBYism, a movement that divides communities and can create a lot of holdback on essential infrastructure in a rapidly growing city, including transport and new housing. This in a city which in the past used forward thinking in incredible ways, through projects like the Sydney Harbour Bridge, the Sydney Rail System and even the Western Motorway and Sydney Newcastle Freeway, now known as the M4 and M1 respectively. Lately it seems as if we get infrastructure projects or announcements when things have become so bad that there is no other choice. And even then, they don't really solve the issues they were designed to fix. Looking at you, Rozelle Interchange, a prime example of a car-centric solution to deter traffic congestion that could have benefited more so from extra public transport options. Yes, there is a Metro West on the way that will ease the pressure a bit, but that won't be up and running for a few more years. A similar traffic tunnel project was announced a few years ago to bypass Military Road and the crowded Spit Bridge. The Beaches Link was designed to continue the journey from the Western Harbour Tunnel, travelling under the lower North Shore suburbs like Neutral Bay and Mosman, and rejoining the traffic corridor north of the Spit Bridge. Although another car-centric solution to curb congestion and yet another likely heavily tolled road to add to Sydney's massive list, we will now only guess whether it would have been beneficial to the Military and Spit Road corridors or just another band-aid solution to a much bigger issue, because the project was eventually canned due to budgetary reasons. What we are left with is a corridor which is bursting at the seams. Efforts to accommodate transport on the corridor have been made in the last few years. Dedicated bus lanes, the Express B1 double-decker bus, which is a limited 8-stop rapid service between Wynyard in the city to Mona Vale, and recently efforts to add more frequency to this and other bus services. While decisions like these are definitely welcomed and somewhat helpful for the thousands of residents who either don't have cars or prefer to use transport to commute, they are still not without their flaws. Dedicated bus lanes are not wide enough, causing buses to come to a crawl or complete halt when attempting to get around larger vehicles like trucks in the next lane. The other problem is that at least on Military Road and Spit Road, the bus lanes are not 24 hours and are clearways based on peak times. While this is useful for commuters using the buses at those times of day, the lanes being open for parking the remaining times of the day means the buses travel with the other cars and can get caught up in the chokehold. The delays in the bus timetable happen, causing the inevitable long queues at bus stops and overcrowding on bus services throughout the day, despite the frequency of buses being within 10 minutes. An automated system of barricades along Military Road also move in the morning and the afternoon peaks to add an extra lane for traffic, along with a similar human-operated system on the Spit Bridge, but again, these are not beneficial to all traffic flow. So is there a solution that isn't car-centric? I think so, and although it's divisive, it is so very needed and quickly. And thanks to already built infrastructure, it doesn't need to be a massive undertaking, meaning it can be done in 2 stages, and with the second stage an option based on the success of stage 1. So let me explain. I propose a branch line of the current Sydney Metro system, the City and South West Metro to be precise. A branch line beginning after the Victoria Cross station in North Sydney could tunnel its way through stations at Neutral Bay, linking the B-Line bus junction, onto a station at Cremorne, and then again linking with bus services at Spit Junction. This could act as a temporary terminus, getting vehicles and commuters off Military Road while a stage 2 is considered and or constructed, continuing north, creating a much needed second crossing through the Spit, and stopping in the suburbs of Seaforth and Balgowlah before following the corridor to another bus link at Brookvale, and finally onto a terminus at Dee Why, a suburb that in the last few years has seen significant housing infrastructure growth, but has also major issues with bottlenecking thanks to its busy thoroughfare of vehicles competing with multiple sets of traffic lights. This terminus would also provide excellent links to bus services for the surrounding Northern Beaches communities. Currently between Dee Why and Wynyard, a trip on the B1 Express bus takes an average of about 40 minutes. This can be over an hour in off-peak times when the bus lanes are not in use, or if the bus is brought to a halt by the Spit Bridge raising for boats. Using a metro system, the approximately 20-kilometre route between the Martin Place metro station in the city centre and Dee Why would bypass many traffic lights and a raising bridge, and given the metro's top speed of around 100 kilometres an hour, the trip between destinations could potentially take 20 to 30 minutes, cutting the current trip in busy times basically in half, taking cars off the road and pressure off the jam-packed buses. Given the Minns government's proposal on zoning reforms around train stations, the potential for much-needed extra housing is also there. If you're questioning the merit of a branch line and the potential for bottlenecking on the City Northwest Metro, I believe this is a non-issue and would actually be more beneficial to the metro stations between Victoria Cross and Sydenham, and eventually Bankstown. With services on each line running at 5 to 10 minute frequencies outside of Victoria Cross, the line through the city could increase to frequencies of 2 to 3 minutes with an extra service coming from a Northern Beaches branch line, meaning at the busy CBD and inner city stops, waiting times would virtually be non-existent and allow for an alternative service between Sydenham, Bankstown and Dee Why in between services to Tallawong. So what do you think? Great idea or yeah, nah? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more content. Thank you and happy commuting.